Favorite apple chocolate, and it was coated.
Katie and Brittany, it's 8. Should we begin? Okay. Do you want me to start with the welcome?
You're first.
Okay. Welcome. We're glad you guys are here. Those of you, I see definitely some names I know and maybe some new names. So Rebecca Smith, is that you? Maybe? As in my friend Rebecca. And yes, thought that might be you.
C'est moi.
Good to see you. And Amanda Spendlove, you guys have been here a long time. How many years is this for Sage?
She's been here since the beginning of Tuacahn COPA. So how long have you been going?
That's a darn good question. Probably, Brittany, do you know, is it our 7th or 8th year?
We started with Disney and they just did Disney.
You know what? It was the Matilda year, 2018.
There you go.
So we started
Fall
that
2018.
summer after Matilda. So that will be 6 years. This is the 6th year.
It's the 6th year. Yeah.
And I see Michelle, and there's probably some other people that I know, but if I don't see your first or last name, I may not recognize it. Anyway, we're glad to have you here. Is that Aubrey? It might be. Anyway, welcome to another 24-25 amazing COPA onward, upward, talent development, confident building year. We're super happy to have you. It's always a pleasure to see our new companies and the new energy and kick off the year. So the mission of Utah COPA is ultimately for us to help these students develop their talents, confidence, and performance skills while experiencing purposeful performances in a spirit of camaraderie. The performing arts is a complex and exciting field of study. Within this field of study, there can be occasion for comparison, jealousy, and insecurities to flourish. Those of you that have junior high kids, you're living it, loving it. It's that way anyway for kids, but because the industry is competitive, it seems to be kind of heightened. At Utah COPA, we prefer to focus on the positive outcomes that involvement in this field can develop: confidence, dependability, punctuality, responsibility, respect for self and others, a strong work ethic, perspective, lifelong friendships, and teamwork. We encourage you to approach your training in this manner. Our music dance theater program is a triple threat. Originally, when I told my dad, it was not called the MDT program, like back in the day. I called it the triple threat program. And my dad was like, that's a football term. But it's also a musical theater term, which just basically means that we hope to help the students become competent in the three major areas of music, dance, and theater curricula. Students train in various dance forms, vocal and acting techniques, preparing for success in the industry. COPA students regularly play lead roles for school, community, and regional musicals, including Tuacahn, and several students have received collegiate scholarships for the performing arts. So just a word on this industry, in addition to those words that I just read in our contract, that it's super fun to perform. Performing is like the icing on the cake, right? And at a certain age, you can pretty much just perform without a whole lot of training. But there comes an age, and it seems to be around 12 or 13, where the kids that are in the classroom training have a hard time, those that aren't have a hard time competing with those that are in talent development and confidence. And the thing that is really tricky about the industry is it's not like playing the violin, which is difficult and hard and takes hours of practice, but it's one thing. It's one thing that you hold in your hand. And I'm not saying by any means that it's not an incredible talent, it is, or playing the piano. It's like keys on a piano. This is something where we're having to use like left and right brain all over the place to do not just dance, but lots of different styles of tap. It's like tap is very, very different than jazz, which is very, very different than ballet. And acting is, I mean, there are people that go to school to get master's degrees in acting, right? Just focusing in that one discipline. And then within acting, there's improvisation and classical acting and film acting. And then you break down the voice and it's the same thing. Like people just go to vocal performance majors and they focus in classical music. But we're trying to be able to play Glinda and Elphaba. We want to be able to sing classically and in a belt and in a mix. And not only that, we want to then be able to stylize it so that we could be in that pop show, or we could do that like Rodgers and Hammerstein, or we could do that, you know, Oklahoma, or that's Rodgers and Hammerstein, but I was thinking like a country musical or something like Mamma Mia. Those are all different vocal styles. So not only are there different vocal, like there's different genres, there's completely different vocal technique. And that's the same thing for voice, dance, and acting. And those things, they take hours. They just take time to train. So we're trying to accomplish a lot. And you know what? I'm just gonna tell you right now, COPA does a dang good job. Like these students are incredible across the board. And Tuacahn, don't quote me on this. There's like something special in the water down there. They really like, I don't know what you guys feed your kids, if it's extra broccoli or fluoride, different fluoride, but it's magical. And you have access to this incredible regional theater. Shout out to Hiram and Gail Smith for making that possible for so many of us to have such incredible experiences, whether we're on the stage telling the stories or whether we're in the audience benefiting from the beautiful stories on the stage, or whether we're a COPA student training in the incredible facility. It's just like to rub shoulders with a regional professional theater like that is pretty incredible. So I thank my lucky stars and I thank my God every night for not just Tuacahn, but for this opportunity to do what we do. Your team is amazing. Under the direction of Brittany Terry, who has been an OG from the beginning and ran her own studio and came with a wealth of knowledge on the organizational end of running things and is artistically gifted and talented. You guys, she's in a dance company now. Like she goes and dances in a dance company, kicking her like face. I think that's amazing. Do you have 6 kids, Brittany? 6? Yes, 6 kids. And like dancing, I think that's incredible. And Mimi's not here tonight, but she's one of our company directors, of course, who we know and love. And the teachers across the board are incredibly talented. And then Katie Higbee, in our far left corner. I was just, I was reading where it says like lifelong friends. I've probably told some of you this before. Maybe I haven't told others, but Katie and I met performing in like a COPA experience. I was 10 and she was 14 or something like that. And we've known each other that long. And I mean, talk about a lifelong friendship and partnership that happens. Some of your kids with these friends, these will be lifelong relationships for them. We even have our first COPA engagement, you guys. That's pretty awesome. We even have COPA Gen 2 happening, meaning some of our COPA students have gone on, gotten married, and now their kids are training. It's awesome. But we welcome you to the COPA family. We're glad you're here. Brittany and Katie are going to take over the rest of this meeting and answer, kind of go over the contract, the payment and tuition, all those things, and answer any questions. I have committed to help neighbors move tonight. So I'm going to bow out and just say thank you for being a part of this awesome experience and turn the time over to the amazingly talented Brittany. It sounded like Adina Menzel. What did he say? The amazingly talented.
You're doing a John Travolta. The
Amazing.
wickedly
Wickedly
talented.
talented.
Then you have to mess up her name.
Brittany Libido. Okay, have fun, you guys.
Bye.
Onward.
We're actually going to turn the time over to
Yeah,
Katie.
I'm going to take it over first. So, okay. Welcome to COPA Companies. We're so glad to have you all. You all should have received your casting email that has a lot of information in it, and we encourage you to not skim it. Please read it paragraph by paragraph and do the things requested in each of those paragraphs. There's links to fill out, there's calendars to look at, just all the stuff. You don't want to miss any of those steps. And most of them have pretty urgent, quick timelines and deadlines. So hopefully most of you have accepted your spots by this point. If you have, company contracts went out this evening, so you should have that in your inbox. If you have not accepted your spot yet, as soon as you do, you'll get your contract. Not like instantly, but once a day they're checking who else accepted and sending out the contracts. And the sooner you can get that contract filled out and turned back into us, the sooner that we can get you registered for your classes, which is somewhat urgent because your first camp starts on Monday. So we want to get those kids, at least that are in that camp, quickly signed up and enrolled so that we can start our year off. But if you have your contract or not, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. You are all perfectly capable of reading, but I wanted to point out some of the key things that I want to make sure that you read before you choose to commit to COPA. Every year without fail, we have people come to us partway through the year and they're like, I had no idea about this date or this procedure or this policy. And if you're new to COPA especially, it will be a fire hose of information this week and next. We know that can be frustrating, but we also feel very strongly about putting everything out there up front, that you know your financial commitment, you know your time commitment, you know exactly what you're getting into. We do not like to have surprises for our students and their families. So if this is your first year at COPA, just hang on tight. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You can email Brittany at Utah COPA, that's with an I, or info@Utah COPA. Feel free to call us, ask us, email us, especially if it's your first year. We want to make sure that you understand, and we know it's a lot, and we are here to support you through that. And I promise next year you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. Like it all makes sense now. So when you get your contract, or if you already have it, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is the overall guidelines for companies and our guiding principles. Those things are really important to helping our companies run smoothly. It includes things like, agreeing to follow the handbook, attendance, and not being absent too often, how to communicate, how we handle communication, where to deal with your billing questions, things like that. Some things I want to just hit on in this section are attendance and conflicts. Attendance is really crucial for the success of the whole company. And we care about that because we want a good product on the stage when we present our concerts, but also because we really want these students to, in addition to learning great technique, we care a lot more about the whole human being, and we want them to learn commitment. And that when you've committed to a team, especially, and they're counting on you, not just your teachers, but your peers, that it's important that you show up and that you're on time and that you're ready to work hard. So we do care a lot about attendance. We also understand that life happens. People do shows, or they're in a school choir, or there's a wedding or a funeral, or they get sick. That is okay. We honor that and respect that, and we want them to take those opportunities. But we do expect communication with that. Please don't just not show up. Please make sure you're very clear with your director about your outside commitments. Please communicate with your other commitments about your COPA commitment. Like when you audition for a show, make sure that you put that you have a COPA commitment on Tuesdays, so that they will hopefully excuse you and be willing to work with you. We love that our students are so involved in the community. We encourage that, but we do ask that you put COPA as a conflict on your audition form. I have yet in my 35 years as an adult doing theater, and even more as a teenager and a child, I just really aged myself. Run into a theater that will not honor conflicts. And if they can't honor the conflicts, then there were too many conflicts. And that's the reality. And if you got cast and then presented those conflicts and it was a problem for both parties, then you're in trouble and you've burned a bridge and you've created a bad reputation for yourself. But if you put those conflicts on that form, if they want you, they will either work with the conflicts or talk to you about what conflicts might be flexible. And then you can wiggle and negotiate and work with both parties to make it a cohesive working relationship for everybody. We don't, we take roll and we do care about attendance, but we don't care as much about the Thursday dance classes. So when you're auditioning, that's a horrible way to say it. We care a lot about those classes. They're very important. But when you're filling out a conflict form for a play or a soccer team or whatever it may be, the Tuesdays we would love for you to hold as pretty sacred, important days to be there. The Thursdays, you don't need to put them on. If you need to miss for rehearsals or for a show, great, that's totally fine. And even those Tuesdays, you are allowed 4 absences between now and the January concert. And I shouldn't say now, summer doesn't count, but like the fall, when we start in the fall until we perform in January, you're allowed 4. That's like once a month, really. So it's pretty generous. And then for the spring, because it's a shorter span of time, it's 3 absences. So save those for your school play when you know you're going to have to miss once for tech week and once for the show. Save them for the wedding that's coming up. Save them for those important dates. And when you communicate with your director and you work with all the things, it helps these students learn that it's okay to have conflicts, that it's okay to talk to an adult director about a conflict. It's okay to, have these conversations, and that 99% of the time I've seen it work out. I have some great stories that I would love to share, but I won't take the time right now, but where I've seen kids as young as 10 or 11 afraid to go talk to a director, and they do, and it all works out. So another thing that we're trying to train them on. And then when that communication has happened, when it does maybe inch above the 4 or 5, we're more willing to work with it because they've been responsible. They've shown that they care. Our goal is to have every student in every number that we do. However, sometimes that's not always possible. And so when you choose to miss a rehearsal, there is the possibility of not being added back into a number. And the way we choose to handle that at COPA is that you're responsible for learning that what you missed on your own time. And then when you come back, Your director will decide whether they can add you into the number or not. There's a wide variety of reasons why they might not be able to. How much time we have left before the concert, so it's not really possible to add more people in. Maybe there's partnerships or some stunts or lifts that we don't have the time to go back and teach in enough detail to have them do it safely, things like that. So but just know that our goal is to have those kids on stage as much as possible. And if they get cut from one song in the medley because they were in their high school show, that's okay. They had that awesome, great experience, and they lost 30 seconds to 45 seconds in the medley. Like, it's not a big deal. We don't see it as a negative, and we hope that you don't see it as a negative, just a trade. We chose this experience and gave up a tiny bit of this experience, and it all worked out great, right? This isn't Broadway, it's a medley, it's a training program, and we appreciate those outside experiences, but just know that sometimes you may have to give up something with us to do that outside experience. We want you to be aware that this is a 12-month contract. It starts July 1st and goes until June 30th. We do expect that students will participate for that full year. It is really difficult to replace a body mid-year, and we plan our companies based on a certain number of students and our budgets. And we've already started paying for tours. Like, we wrote a big check just this morning for our New York tour in February. And so when we lose a person, just know that if you drop mid-year, you're most likely still going to be paying for tour and some classes. And we try to be flexible with that, especially in extenuating circumstances. But the expectation is that you're going to participate for a year. The other thing I wanted to make sure that you read through is past our guidelines, we have the responsibilities. And we have this broken down into 3 sections: our responsibilities as COPA staff, the responsibility of each company member, and then we also have a section of the parents' responsibilities. And we encourage you as parents to not just sign the contract and turn it in. We would love for you to go through this section with your students so that they understand that they are an important part of this company, that their participation matters, that the way they choose to show up and behave and be prepared and everything is really important, and make sure that they are agreeing to their responsibilities before you sign the contract. I want to talk for a second about tuition and fees. It is 12 months, so you'll start July 1st and you'll pay through June 1st of next year. The biggest question we get is on the months where maybe not a lot is happening, like December or next June, why am I still paying? That is because we, at the urging of our parents a few years ago, we take the tuition and the fees, add it up for the whole year, and divide it by 12. So even though you might pay in December, let's say, full tuition for only 2 classes because it's a short month because of the holidays, we promise you are not paying for anything that you don't get. Everything is accounted for. We're very careful about that. We just spread it out evenly over the 12 months to, number 1, keep those monthly costs down, and number 2, not have unexpected months that are bigger than others. So it would be really lame if in November, right before Christmas, you have your tuition and all of the costume fees and performance fees all at once, or suddenly a big tour fee. So we try to spread those out evenly over 12 months to make your lives easier. You know everything to expect. There are no hidden costs or fees at COPA. Everything is included in your tuition or your fees or your tour payment if that applies to you, and we'll get to that in a minute. Except for 2 things. Number 1 is the registration fee, and that is something that cannot be included in the fees because it's through our computer system, and that is a pretty standard fee that you'll find at any studio across the nation. Number 2 is your like travel wear and like your COPA t-shirts and things like that. And the reason those are not included is because not everybody needs them every year. If you're a returning student and your shirts still fit you, or you had an older sibling that they can hand them down, or you know, there's just a variety of reasons. And so we don't include those. So you will have an additional charge for those shirts based on whatever you need to purchase that year. So other than that, we really do try to keep everything included and upfront. So yeah, just remember that we are expecting you for the year. The tuition and everything is spread out for the year. And then as you scroll down, I just want to point out that this year, if you're a returning student, before you had to fill out a contract for every student, and we now have it designed so that you can do one per family. So hopefully that saves you a lot of time, and you can just fill it out once and list all your students and their companies and fill it out and submit it one time for the whole family. The stuff that you will sign is mostly pertaining to travel and tour, and that you're agreeing to pay, that you'll take care of your costumes, that kind of stuff. So don't just sign it and send it in. Please make sure you're aware of everything that's in it so that you can proceed knowing everything that's going on and you're ready to have a great year. I'm going to share my screen for just a minute. And hold on just a sec. And I'm going to show you just some of our online stuff that will be helpful for you. Sorry, it's hard to get to the share screen. There it is. Hold on. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that is helpful for you is here on our COPA website. So you can just go to utahcopa.com. And you're going to choose, this isn't the homepage, sorry, I'm already there. So here's the homepage, and you're going to go to companies up here at the top and choose musical theater, and you'll choose Tuacahn. And this is kind of like the mothership for all the information you need. This is a pretty good landing spot when you have questions. In this little tab, we have all of your companies divided out with their tuition and their schedules. And then it will have the dance levels depending on what you're assigned to. Add-on classes, it will have your fees. So you see the COPA registration fee, the dancewear, again, that's all flexible depending on the person. And then your company fees. And just so you know how we divide it is tuition basically covers classroom time, and fees are hard costs, things that we pay out to other people. For example, using a theater or paying for a tech crew, costumes, things like that are all rolled in to this hard cost fee. And that's why they're separated. The next thing that I really want to draw your attention to is these important dates and company tours. These are not all of the dates. This is not a conclusive list, but it is the most important dates that you want to have on your calendar now. These are the things you're going to want to plan around when you're planning family weddings or vacations. When you audition for shows, these are like the non-negotiable, most important dates. And every single year, without fail, I have parents that are like, oh, we booked a cruise. We had no idea there was a concert that week. And it's here now. Before you're agreeing to the company, you have the most important dates, and then the tour dates as well. And tour is mandatory for company members. So get those dates on your calendar. We'll talk more about tour in a minute. And then we have the dress code. So that's the most important thing for you to know. The other thing I want you to be aware of, whether you're new or not, is this login tab. So you're going to go to student login. And if you're brand new to COPA, you're going to create your family account. You just create it for your family, and then you can add each student. If you're a returning student, you just log in or do the student login and log in. Once all of you have been, we will do all of your registration for you. And this is where you will see your schedule for your student and pay your bills. So this utahcopa.com, this login takes you to what's called Studio Director. And that's where we do like all the business side of COPA. So it's an important place to be familiar with and know where all that information is. Let's see. I think I can stop sharing. The other important thing to know is we have an app as well. And those of you that were with us this year, thank you for your patience. As we announced when we launched it, we were sort of the beta testers. I'm not really a technical person, but I guess that's the lingo for, you know, trying it out. And as we used it, we found lots of great things about it. And we also found some things that we needed to fix and update. And we are confident that we have hopefully found all of the challenges and that it will be a lot smoother next year. But for those of you that are new to COPA, it's not actually an app. Actually, I think it is an app now, but it's just called Studio Advantage. And you can get to it from a browser just by doing studioadvantage.com, or you can download the app. I think it might only work on iPhones right now. But in this app, you have all of your classroom material. So students will find all of their medleys. There's songs for vocal tech that they'll do for solos with lyrics, and they'll have a demo version and an instrumental version. Monologues are all in there. There's video lectures that coincide with our curriculum where they can watch the lecture. And then when they come to class, we just review the lecture and launch into our coaching of their materials. So it's a really great resource. And often people are confused about Studio Director versus Studio Advantage. So just to be really clear, Studio Director is business. It's your class schedule, where we send emails from, where you pay your bills, all of that stuff. Studio Advantage is classroom materials, and they are not connected in any way. So you cannot get to Studio Advantage from the COPA website, just Studio Director. They're not linked. You can't use the same website or the same login. Well, I mean, I guess you can, but it's not the same. So just be aware of that. Every year I have people that are like, I cannot find where to find the songs or the medleys, and I find out they're on Studio Director. So just make sure you keep those two tools very clear in your head. Studio Advantage, you're welcome to download it now or go find it now, but you won't be able to log in until right before company camp. We will send you all of the information that you need to set up your account. You need a studio code, and then you'll be able to log in. So, and the reason we're doing that is that we're kind of taking the next month and a half to sort of clean up a bunch of the stuff that wasn't great last year, and just kind of streamline things a little bit and make it a little more user friendly. And so that will be ready for you right before camp. Studio Director, however, is ready now. If you're new to COPA, go create your account. We cannot register you for classes until you have your account. So just make sure you have that ready to go. And yeah, I am going to, are there any questions on anything that I've shared so far? Just the policies and tuition and those resources that are available to you. Oh, I forgot one more thing. I'm going to share my screen again. Hold on one second. This one's really important. So I mentioned that flyer, that kind of landing spot mothership has the important dates. We also have a full COPA calendar. It will not be ready until July 1st. But all you need to do is go to COPA, go to About Us and COPA calendars. And then you're going to find there's two calendars that you need to download. One is the general calendar, and you're going to choose TCA, and you can use iCal or HTML, and you click on those and it will go straight to your calendar. Like it will link to your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use. So you're going to want to get the general calendar that will have the dates that apply to everyone, like studio closures, concerts, things like that. And then you're going to also want to get your specific company calendar. So you're going to go to the Music Dance Theater calendars, and you're going to find your company. So Moxie or Prodigy or Principal, and you're going to make sure you choose the correct location so that you don't end up with the wrong calendar. And then this will have any items specific to your company. And again, you can download this now. It's a living thing, so it will, when we update, it will update for you as well. But just know that the dates in it right now are not done. But our goal every single year, this is true, is to have that ready July 1st. So, and it will have, in addition to those dates that were on that most important list, it will also have all of the other dates for the year, including the ones that just aren't as crucial. Okay, Brittany, your turn.
I have a question quick.
Oh, yes, please.
On your most important event one, is that also not going to be current until July 1st?
No, that one is current. So all of our performance dates and intensive dates, those things we lock in before you commit, because we want you to know that our spring concert is the exact same time as your cruise, so that you can consider that now. So those dates are locked. They are set. Under rare circumstances, we've changed some. Very rarely though. And I'm looking at COVID. I blame, it was all COVID related. So I shouldn't say we never change dates or that they're locked in, because you never know. There could be another worldwide pandemic. Let's hope not. But we try really hard at COPA to stick with what we've announced, because we know that you are busy and you plan your lives around lots of other different activities that all of your kids are doing and your families, and it's tricky when things change. So we try not to change anything.
Okay, first we're going to talk about the company camp, which is one of those important dates, August 5th through the 9th, and that's where we start preparing for the new year. They'll start getting their vocal tech songs assigned to them, and then they will start working, they find out what their medley is. And then we also start working on the music video that week. We aren't filming. Usually we've done the Saturday after camp, but we aren't able to do that this year because the guy who is going to be doing our audio recording is going to be on a trip in Alaska. So we have to get our audio done, our video can done. And so we have to record that the first week, I believe, of class. We'll be doing that. Which is part, you'll be in class anyway, so that's not a date you need to know, just when normal classes start. But then August 24th, which is a Saturday, we will be filming the music video. So that's another important date. We don't have a time yet. Filming usually takes about 3 to 4 hours, sometimes less, sometimes more, just depending on how planned out we are. So we've done morning previously because we've done it outside and it gets really hot. But once again, I need to figure that out, what we're doing. So once I have that information, you will know what time, but just block out that entire day just to be safe for now. And as it gets a little bit closer, then you'll be more aware of when it is. Dance class attire. You
Hold
can
on 1
see-
second.
Okay.
Can you back up to summer camp? Don't forget the 2 dance camps.
Oh, yeah, and summer dance camps. There's 2 offered. There's one that starts this Monday, June 3rd through the 7th, and then there's one in July 8th through the 12th. You only have to, as a company member, required to attend one of them. So, on the form you just sent that I sent you, you all chose what camp you wanted. So I will register you for those camps. If you chose to do both camps, then I will register you for that other camp, but just know that if you sign up to do both, you'll be charged for that second camp. The first camp is automatically, it's included in your fees that you pay each month. So, and that goes with your company camp as well. That is included in your fees as well. Yeah, so just choose which camp. If you haven't filled that acceptance form out yet, make sure you choose which camp you want to be registered for. Okay, now dance attire. You can see that on that thing that Katie showed you, the flyer. At the bottom, it says dance class attire, and it's pretty basic, just for girls. Wear black leotards, pink tights for ballet, pink shoes. And then for jazz and tap, they can add shorts, they can add like dance pants that are fitted. Make sure their hair's up out of their face. the hardest thing is when kids come to class and they just came from school and they're in their school clothes. It's hard for them to feel like dancers because they just came from school and they're wearing their school clothes. And as teachers, it's hard for us to see to make corrections. So they're going to get more of a full experience if they come prepared to dance. And boys, where is boys? White top, black bottoms, and black ballet shoes for boys, and that goes for ballet and jazz. So for shoes, ballet shoes for ballet, but for jazz, they can have jazz shoes, or I don't know if you know what Turners are, or half soles. Those are great too because they're just like a ballet shoe. They're very thin, but they only cover the front half of your foot. Anyway, they're great for turning, and just they're a great shoe to wear for jazz. And then tap shoes. They all need tap shoes. So it doesn't matter what brand, just make sure they have tap shoes for tap so they get that full experience of making the sounds in tap. Let's see. Your shirts for company day, they are required to wear their COPA, their black COPA shirt, and then any black bottoms, joggers, it can be leggings, it can be black shorts, just black bottoms, and then their black COPA shirt, which if you are new and you haven't received those, then we'll be putting out an order at some point for you to order those. And that'll go along with those who are touring. There's usually different colors that you order for tour, and we'll have an order for those as well, so you can get those shirts. But like Katie said, if you have them from last year, that's great. If you have a sibling that you can pass them down to, that's great too. Dance level assignments. I sent that out today, so you should have received that in your email. We just put the initials just so no one's comparing and saying, oh, I got moved up and you didn't. So it's just to kind of keep kids from speculating. But I know some of the initials were the same. And I had some parents reach out, but if your child is one of those that are the same, let me know, and I can let you know personally which level that they're in. But I think there was maybe only one or two of those. So yeah, it's all just their initials listed under what level that they're in. And with levels, if you read kind of the email that went along with it too, we just place your child in the best place that they're going to get the most growth in. We hate looking at levels and saying, well, they're more advanced and they're more beginning, but it's just more or less like if you put a child who isn't as confident in dancing in a higher level, then they're going to not grow as much. They're going to be stressed out and they're going to be overwhelmed, and it's not going to be fun. So we place them just kind of where we're going to feel that they are going to grow the most and have the best experience. Extra dance classes. We are offering ballet on Fridays for those who are interested in that. Erica is going to do a point class. She had quite a few kids that got point shoes this last year, so she wants to continue that for those who are on point. And then she's also doing a pre-point class, so it's to help prep any students who maybe want to do that. It's kind of just another extra ballet class too, which is helpful in any realm. So that is offered on Fridays. And then for our pre-company kids, they can add on jazz, ballet, and tap and be in that level A class with our other level A students who are already taking those on Thursday. Okay, tour.
Brittany, do you mind if I jump in for just 1 second? Let me just back up to shoes really quick and chat about performance shoes. We send out what we call an event form before the events, usually 6 to 8 weeks prior, and that will say what shoes you need for your performance. We typically try to keep costs really low for those shoes, and it varies depending on the medley. Sometimes it's like a black Mary Jane or a white Ked or a character shoe. So just know that that will be coming as well, and you'll need to provide shoes for those medleys. Brittany, do you know? Do you want to say what
Black Mary? Oh, sorry. When we say Black Mary Jane too, you don't actually have to get the Mary Jane brand.
Right.
I think it was Tia that came with like the real deal, and I was like,
Oh,
you
no.
paid so much money for those.
Mary
And I
Jane
was
style.
like, I was like, you tell your mom send it back right now and just get a look-alike. Like it doesn't
We
have to be a real
encourage
date.
Walmart is a great place to get performance shoes.
Just look-alike, Mary Jane.
The one thing I would say is if you have an older student and they need a character shoe, that's where I would maybe splurge, because those character shoes could last for a long time if they are done growing and you're sure they're done growing.
Yeah, because they can use them for shows, multiple shows.
They'll use them all the time. Same if your costume requires maybe a jazz shoe, I would maybe go nicer there too, because you can use it over and over. But if you're asked to do a Mary Jane or a White Kid, those are typically the only two things that are outside of a jazz shoe or a character shoe. Go to Walmart, get the cheapest one you can find. And yeah, so that will come in that. And then I also wanted to talk about, Brittany mentioned t-shirts, but we also have a lot of other COPA gear. Unfortunately, with our space down there, we don't have space for a store, but our other two locations actually have stores on site where we sell like hats and fanny packs and backpacks and sweatsuits, and some of it's really cool, like really fun stuff. Every time people see stuff, they're like, where'd you get that? Like, that's so cute. So if you're interested in additional stuff, I do think there is some down there, right, Brittany? Like
There
just
is
an
some, yeah.
office. Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah will roll it out every once in a while for people to look at. And
Yeah. So I think you have access to look at it. You just can't like buy it and have it that minute. You have to like order it and then we'll get it to you. So, but there's some really cute stuff and it's fun and team building and useful. Like the backpacks are great on tour. And there's, just a lot of fun stuff. And then one thing I was going to just let you know is that typically like, I don't know, October, November, they'll do like a Christmas sale and they'll do like some Christmas bundles where you can get like some stuff and include it with your Christmas. So that might be something to think about as well. Okay, on to tour. Go, Brittany.
okay, so the tour prices, which are on the flyer that Katie showed you earlier, are all listed on there. I can just tell you, Moxie is 2,300 and Principal is 2,950. So that's just something to be aware of. And you start payments actually in July. So if you can see my paper, I just printed it because I'm like not technical and I can't show my screen. So it's all in your contract. And if you look on your contract, this is in there and you can see the payment schedule for each of those tours by month. And it tells you exactly how much you're going to be charged that month for that payment. So, for example, July for our California Disney MTCA trip is 400. And then August is 400, and it goes on. And then the great thing is you don't have a payment in December. Yay! So that you can buy Christmas presents and splurge that way. And then payments end your last payment is in January. So it's all paid up front because tours happen in February. So it's all paid. With that being said, a lot of parents are curious about fundraisers. We don't like put on any fundraisers, but you as parents are welcome to get together and like stream some ideas. I know I was talking to Sherry Jordan and I was suggesting to her maybe at like our performances, parents could sell like waters or treats or flowers or something, but an event that's already happening and you just kind of bring things to sell there. Just throwing out ideas, and she thought, oh, that could work. So anyways, if that's something, you could reach out to Sherry Jordan.
Yeah, let me add to the fundraisers really quick. We actually do a ton up here in American Fork and Draper, and we've tried to transfer it down there. But the tricky part is that there's just not someone to manage it. So if anyone down there is willing to kind of take a lead on fundraisers, we have someone up here that can tell you which ones we've done. And most of them are places that exist down there. It's just that like they're all kind of individually owned. And so like our Roxbury, anyway, my point is you just she can tell you which ones have been great up here so that you can then go talk to the companies down there. Ones that have been really successful are Roxbury cards, especially around Christmas. The Little Caesars ones where they buy a pizza and get crazy bread for free. The Swig, or, you know, I don't know what you guys have, Swig or Sodalicious, those ones. Megaplex offers a great one where the kids make like $7 per sale, per ticket that they sell. And it's a ticket, it's a movie ticket and a popcorn certificate. And that's a great one at Christmas because people will buy them for teacher gifts or stocking stuffers. And they typically will buy a lot of them. And for each ticket, the kid makes $5 or $7. I can't remember what it is exactly. So that's a great one. We've had groups get really creative and students get really creative to do their own things. We've had kids sell cookie dough, dog sitting, babysitting, yard work. We've had students do backyard concerts where they perform and people just donate money. So there's a lot you can do, and now is the time to start. So if you have a student that is going on tour, summer is the best time to do extra work. And so encourage them to get started on that now when they're not as busy. And so they can, you know, start to chip away at that. We have had students earn their tour completely by themselves. We had one kid do it all with just the movie tickets. So if parents are willing to step up and work together, we did have a principal company a few years ago sell concessions at concerts for their tour. They just kind of all worked together, and that was great. And then, yeah, so just get creative and start now. Work together or work independently and find some ways to earn that money. Brittany, did you want to talk a little bit about what the tours include and what we do on tour?
Yeah, we can. So for California MTCA, that's a competition that they go to, and the kids compete in a group event together. And then they also have the opportunity to compete individually. So they can do a solo, they can do a dance solo, they can do a monologue, or they can do multiple events as well. I think it does cost an extra if you do two or three
Yeah,
events.
so one event is included in the cost already, and then some kids just decide they want to do more events. And I think it's like, I don't remember how much it is. And I actually think it went up this year, not by us, by them. But that will be in an email, and it'll say like, I want to do additional events for this much money.
Yeah, it's fun because it's kind of, yes, you have a question, Rebecca.
I have a question about two things. One, could you maybe send out a Google feeler of parents that could sign up to put together fundraiser capabilities? And two, do you accept chaperones? Do parents come on any of this or can come on any of this? I mean, how involved are parents once they are on the tour? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
that's a great question. So we don't use parents as chaperones, but we love when parents come, and parents are more than welcome. And we always have quite a group of parents that join us. I have actually toured as a parent and a chaperone, and it's more fun as a parent. I'm just going to tell you that. It's great because you can do whatever you want and just join up with us when you feel like it and then go do whatever you want. So Brandalee is our tour manager, and she is great. She will send a lot of emails, and so just read those really thoroughly because they will share that information. We will typically, for the California tour specifically, she'll let you know like our flight and our hotel, and that way you can book with, not with us, but like book adjacent to us if you want similar flights or to be at the same hotel or one that's close by. She'll send you information for like the parent pass if you want to get that for MTCA. Disneyland tickets you would purchase on your own, same with Knott's Berry Farm tickets, but she would tell you like, this is the day we're going, so that you can plan to be there with us as much as you want or not at all. Same with New York, she'll send you our flight information and our hotel information. We have been able to purchase Broadway tickets for parents in the past to come with us to the same shows that we're going to. The show that we do on tour, we won't purchase for you, but at months before, like probably sometime this fall, she'll send you a link that's like, here's a discount code that's good until such and such date if you want to buy a ticket to come see the show that we do. But yes, we love it when parents come, and it's a good time. Who here has been on tour? I know Amanda has. Anyone else that wants to like chime in on attending as a parent or not? Either way. No, okay. It's
Mhm.
fun. It's really fun. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
finish telling about the tours so they know what they're doing.
Okay, and the fundraiser question too. What she had a question about the fundraiser. What do you suggest about going about that? You're on mute.
That's you, Brittany. You could start a Google sheet to connect parents.
Okay, so Katie kind of said this is because she said Disney tickets and Knott's Berry Farm. So they have their competition day, which is usually 2 days of the California trip. One day is usually their group performance, and the second day is usually solo. Sometimes it's combined, but and then the next day they have awards, their awards ceremony at Knott's Berry, and then once awards are over, they get to spend the rest of the day at Knott's Berry Farm. And then they have the last day at Disneyland, so they get to go and just play and have fun. So that's the California tour. We
So
love.
can I add to the California tour? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh, you're good. You should just talk.
We just need to say that in addition to the competition, there's workshops. So they actually are taking classes the whole 2 days as well. It's not just like go sing my one song and then I'm sitting around all day. And they bring in great people. We've had like original Broadway casts. We had the original Aladdin from Broadway and his sister, who was also a Broadway performer. Last year, they had people from the original cast of Six.
And our kids got to actually perform
Yeah,
with.
they get to perform with these people. They get to take classes with these people. There's an opening ceremonies and like a closing performance that are like rock concerts. Like people are going, it's like a musical theater kid's like dream. It's like kids are singing and jumping up and down and dancing, and they get to audition for these like special performance opportunities where they then get to like perform on stage with the cast of Six, and like they're doing choreography. And they have like the teachers who teach the classes, a lot of them are original cast members. Like they learned like chorus line from a cast member, the traditional da na 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 na, and then like the original girl from Legally Blonde taught like the Whip It number. They had one year, we had the original Anastasia, which is familiar to you guys right now, but the original Anastasia from Broadway was the teacher one year. And they're not like this far away. They're like interacting and like performing and taking class. And it's just really, I mean, the 2 days is like packed from like, I tell you what, these kids, this is an exhausting tour. Remind them to drink water, have them get rested before they come. But they're going from like 7 a.m. to like midnight every day, all day for those 2 days, in addition to their competitions. So it's really awesome. And I was gonna add one more thing and I can't remember what it was, but that's okay. Yeah. So then I was gonna say the awards ceremony. Tuacahn this is our 4th year going, and 3 years in a row, Tuacahn first place every year. So they're killing it. Their group number has won first place every time. And they also do really well in the solo things. Now, I will say we tell our students we don't care about the trophies, and that we truly don't. Like we are there for the workshops and the feedback. But the trophies are a little icing on the cake. I want to say too, and this isn't just like your traditional competition where they just perform their thing and then they leave and then they find out if they win. Every competition slot for the individual events is 15 minutes long. So what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll sing their song or do their monologue or whatever, and then they get coached for like the next 10 minutes. And they're giving them feedback and they're like, let's try this part again. And I'm going to get emotional. I always cry in these meetings, but especially about this subject. We go with them. We assign a director with every student, so nobody's alone. And every single one that I have sat in on, I've like cried, or it's just so exciting. Like the things they pull out of these kids in that 10 minutes. And they are so positive. Like everything is so positive. even, I mean, I hate to say this, I shouldn't say it, but like even students just that aren't as strong, you know, oftentimes we have kids that are first year students that they aren't very strong vocally yet, and they're just there doing their very best. And these people just like build them up. And I've just seen like miracles happen in that little 10-minute time slot. And it's the same with our group number. We get a 30-minute time slot. So they'll perform their short little number, and then they get feedback, and they jump up on stage and work with them. And it's a lot of fun. So we are there for the educational purposes of it. Trophies are fun. And the competition part is fun, but what we love is the learning and the feedback and who they get to work with. It's a pretty amazing experience for these kids. So go ahead. And we do Knott's Berry Farm, and then what?
And that, you summed it up. That was it.
And then we go to Disneyland and we just play.
Okay, New York, MCP. This year they are doing Anastasia. And last year they did Garden of Eden. So I was there last year and got
Children
to
of Eden.
Children of Eden. Children of Eden. And it was amazing. They spent time in rehearsal with these professionals and get to work right alongside them and listen to them, watch them get critiqued. Like Steven Schwartz was there, and they got to watch him like interact with the actors and give them feedback and how they reacted back. And
You guys
it's
know who Steven Schwartz is? Anybody not know?
he wrote the musical The Wicked. If, you know, most of us know Wicked, so that's one. But yeah, he was just right there. We got our picture with him and talked to him, and the kids got to, and it was just it's neat to be in the room and just to witness them rehearsing with them. So that's what a lot of their time is spent doing, is rehearsing for the production, and then they get to perform in the Lincoln Center, which is amazing. It's a beautiful setting, and it's just it's neat what they can do. So besides that, they also get to see 2 Broadway shows. Like Katie said, Brenda Lee will send out an email that you'll get to pick your top shows that you want to go to. And then you'll get tickets for those if enough people sign up for those. And then a lot of times they'll have some free time that they can even go to another one if they choose. And then they also have some free time. Like this last year, my daughter wanted to go see the World Trade Center museum, so we went and saw that. We also went to the Top of the Rock, which is top of the Rockefeller Center. And the year before, we went into the Statue of Liberty. So there's always some opportunities to do sightseeing and educational learning as well in that aspect. So, but it's just an amazing experience. It's amazing to be in New York. It's amazing to be surrounded by people who love the arts, and it's just everywhere. New York is an amazing city to witness. So, Katie, anything you'd like to add?
No, that was great. It was amazing. It was really cool. The cast was amazing. There were people from, like, you know, the Angelica from the Broadway cast of Hamilton. The voice of Moana was one of the people. There was like a Disney person and a country, you know, top, I can't remember his name because I'm not really a country person, or gospel. I guess he was a gospel singer.
Mimi was freaking out about him. She was like,
yeah.
Yeah, so us directors are just as excited.
Yeah, there was this dancer from Chicago that I just could not take my eyes off for the entire 4 days. Like, she was phenomenal. Like, it's just really, really awesome. It was directed by Tony.
Get to work with them. It's amazing.
We've done this tour since like 2014. We took a couple years off for COVID. And when we first went, we just assumed it was going to be very separate. And from day one, you're with these people. And over the years, our students have been able to work with Ben Platt, Jeremy Jordan, Laura Osnes, Laura Benante. We were directed by Susan Stroman one year, who's like the most Tony Award winning director on Broadway. And these kids get to also put it on their resume. They can put that they were in this show in New York City at Lincoln Center, starring so-and-so, directed by so-and-so. And it's a really cool experience and a lot of fun. So it's worth it. It's so cool.
It is worth it.
Okay, go Brittany.
the last thing I'm going to share with you is our Facebook and Instagram. We really would love the word to continue to spread about COPA. So if you ever have videos of them performing at the solo showcase or from the concert, or even things that they're doing out in the community, like share and then tag us so that people see the things that your kids are doing and so that they're seeing the things that they're learning at COPA. That's, I think, the biggest way that COPA is going to continue to grow, is just by sharing. It's just, yeah, that's basically it.
Well, we love to see what your kids are doing as well. So even if it's not a COPA event, they're just like in a play or they sing at church and you want to tag COPA, we love to see those things. And we love to share your student successes as well. So if they're in a show or they win an award or whatever, send it to us in the newsletter every month. There's information about this, but you just email it to our social media person and she will post it and share it. And we actually have 3 separate accounts. So if you feel so inclined, it's sort of fun to follow the other locations as well and see what's going on at all 3 locations. And we've told all the other locations that too, to follow Utah COPA Tuacahn and Utah COPA Draper, and then Utah COPA by itself is the American Fork location. And we tell our students to follow it too, because then they go on tour together. And then they're already sort of familiar with each other because they've seen videos. And you'd be surprised. Like, some of these COPA kids that have been touring together since, 7th or 8th grade, even from the different locations, they just are best friends now. And like I have the privilege, I'm so lucky to be able to work at all 3 locations. And I will walk into a certain location and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, say hi to so and so for me," and we'll send a video, and that kid at the Draper location is like, "Oh, I love my Tuacahn friends," and like it's just so great. So it's fun on social media too for them to be able to kind of keep track of each other. But yeah, it's a great resource. I hate social media in general, but I feel like it's a great way for us as COPA to build a community since we are so far away from each other. And you guys don't get to be in the classroom. So it's a fun way to kind of get a peek there too. But
And
okay.
also,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, a lot of times you'll see like this kid is starring in this show at this theater. If your child makes something, then like she said, you can send that to Erin. We don't do that. We don't like seek out every kid what they're doing and share it just because we don't know half the time. But if you send it to Erin, she can post it, and then that helps us all be aware at like COPA Tuacahn. Oh, this child's in this show. We can all go support them. So yeah, if your child makes something, then send it to, it's Erin at utahcopa.com. Is that? Yeah, Erin at utahcopa.com. And then she can share all the information about the show, when it is, what character they play. And that way we as teachers and like other students who are on the Instagram and Facebook pages can also see that and be like, oh, let's go watch them. So just
And
helps.
yeah, we don't track that down or lead that. So if you ever see a post and you're like, "Oh, why didn't they share when my kid was in a show?"
Parents did it.
It's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you. And you know what? We don't care if it was a month ago. If you see one and it reminds you and it was a month ago or 2 months ago, send it in. We'll still share it. We'll share that we're proud that they did that at their, whatever. So it's great. And if you're in a show where there's a lot of COPA people, it's really helpful if one parent will kind of organize it and get all of them so we can do one post about the one show, because that's really fun too to see like, oh my gosh, there's like 12 kids in that show. That was a high number, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about, and then we'll open it up for questions, is high school credit. So we have a partnership with a program called Alta Independent. It is an accredited school, online school through the state. They specialize in what's called credit capture. And so that's basically giving students who excel in extracurricular activities the opportunity to earn a high school credit for those activities. So they are affiliated with, just like us, with a lot of groups that do like mountain biking or cheerleading or gymnastics or whatever. And they vet our studio. So a few years ago, they looked at all of our classes and all of our curriculum, and we had to do FBI reports on our teachers and like a ton of stuff. So that now if you reach out to them and you're like, I'm a COPA student, they're like, great, we already know exactly what your program is and we can help you get credit. And my own daughter has gotten 2.5 credits every year of high school for her COPA participation, which is awesome because if they're, let's say, I mean, I know those kids down in St. George, they are always in shows. There's something like Mindy said, there's some in the water down there, and you guys have so many great theaters and so many opportunities to perform. But if your student is going to school and then they have COPA and then they're also taking private voice and maybe some additional dance, and then they're in a show and maybe they're also a cheerleader or on the ballroom team or play soccer, there's like no more time in the day to do homework or just be a kid. And it's really great if you can maybe knock off first period so they can sleep in because they're in a show late at night, or knock off the last period so they can come home from school and rest before they start their extracurricular activities. So it's a great option if you want it. We make $0 from this connection. We just started it like 6 years ago to benefit our own children, and it grew from there. They do give COPA families a discount. I can't remember what the rate is. It's like some rate for a half credit and some rate for a full credit. You can get really creative. My own daughter, all she's done really is COPA Musical Theater Academy. But on her transcript, we've called it a lot of different things each year, so it looks more well-rounded. So she's done productions, musical theater, drama, dance, choir, show choir. I mean, they know what we do, and so you can call it kind of whatever you want to make it fit, you know, to make it look like a well-rounded schedule, which it is. And all of those things are what we do. Like, they fit what we do. We're not being shady. And all you have to do is submit their hours, and they write an essay about their experience, which are great experiences. I mean, she's written essays on New York Shakespeare Festival, having an injury in dance and recovering from it, teamwork. And it's the other thing that's great about it is that they want you to get an A. So if your student submits an essay and it's bad, they're not just going to be like, okay, you got a C in the class, done. It's now on your transcript forever. They're going to go back to you and say, hey, I think you can do more with this essay. They'll have a chance to fix it. And so you can keep doing that until they have an A in the class. So if you got a 2.5 credits of A's every year, that's just helping your GPA get higher and higher. I do recommend that you try to stack them like 9th, 10th, 11th grade, because any credits you earn in 12th grade, they're helping you graduate, but they're not necessarily helping your GPA or your credits to like get into college. They also do have other classes, like if you wanted to do health or whatever, you could do that. But there's cheaper programs, quite frankly, for those types of classes, probably through your school district. But they are available and they're great programs. And then you can get fine arts credit, elective credit, and PE credit through your COPA classes. And again, this only applies to 9th through 12th graders, but just FYI, junior high, they don't count credits. So you as a parent could do this same plan, and you just don't ever turn it in. You just say, we're going to homeschool for PE and fine arts and do all of her electives, and you just do them yourself through COPA, and they trust you. So that's just a side note. But anyway, we're going to just open this time. If you have questions about Alta, just go to their website and do like the contact me. Like I said, they're really familiar with our program. They can answer all your questions. I'm happy to chat about it. I'm pretty passionate about it. I've used a lot for all of my kids. So yeah. Okay. Any questions on anything? We have just a couple minutes. Go ahead.
Is it at all possible to get some kind of a master list as a parent? I've heard a lot of names thrown out tonight of the person that's putting the tours together, the director for this, and who we should contact for that. And it's becoming mud on who I should contact for.
So this is in the contract. The very top of the contract is a list of all the important people. Well, everyone's important, but of all the people that you might want to contact. So the very first page at the top, it has your office manager contact information. It has the tour manager contact information. It has your academy director contact information. So it's all listed in the top there. And when in doubt, email info. What?
Erin is not listed on
Okay,
there.
I will, it's probably too late to add her for this year, but I'll make sure she gets added for next year. When in doubt, you can always email info@Utah COPA, and the person that mans that will just forward it to whoever needs it. But the tour, billing, academy directors, all of that is included in the contract. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, if you have any come up, you can always email Brittany, BRITTANI @utahcopa.com. And yeah, that's it. It's gonna be another great year. Oh, wait, we never talked about medleys. Do you want to share what they're doing this next year? Like the theme and
I don't know if I know that yet. Do I?
well, you
Like
know
the-
the theme. The
Remember.
theme is you
Theme
guys are on jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox musicals,
Jukebox and movie musicals.
which are like Mamma Mia and La La Land and Greatest Showman. And then Moulin Rouge is one for the movie musicals.
So you guys have it pretty lucky down at Tuacahn because American Fork has 7 companies. And so they're like specifically assigned to a company. But then when they get to you guys for Tuacahn with 3, Brittany just goes, we like this one the best. We want to do this one. And you guys get to sort of hand pick from like 3 or 4 which ones you guys want to do. I mean, they have to be the right size costumes, but yeah, so I'm pretty sure Principal is going to do Moulin Rouge,
Yes.
and
I think Moxie's doing La La Land
okay,
or Mamma Mia and La La Land.
you could choose either one, yeah.
Or isn't one a movie and one a jukebox?
Yes, yeah.
So they do both of those. And then Prodigy, we're still figuring that out.
Okay.
So yeah.
They get to choose, so it's fun, which is great because ours do the same ones every 4 years, but you guys get to have a little more variety as you swap it up. So, okay, any other questions? If not, we will end this meeting. We will email this out to everyone who wasn't here, and if any of you guys feel like you need to refer back to anything, so if you have friends that ask about it, just tell them it's coming. Maybe by tomorrow, for sure by Friday. And you guys are all awesome. Have a great COPA year.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.